What if I told you that the life you're living right now isn't really yours? That the thoughts you think, the goals you chase, and the routine you call normal are just echoes of someone else's design? Nietzsche believed most people never truly live. They survive. They adapt. They perform. But they don't become. And that brutal truth? It's the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. You see, the real beginning of life doesn't start with success, love, or purpose. It starts when the illusions collapse. When you can no longer pretend that scrolling and hustling and playing it safe is enough. Nietzsche didn't come to comfort you. He came to shake you. Because the world wants you tame. But your soul? It wants fire. This video is not for the faint of heart. It's for those who feel the quiet ache that says, there's more to me than this. If that's you, stick around. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to confront lies you didn't know you were living. And by the end, you might not recognize yourself. In the best way possible. Watch carefully. Watch all the way through. Your life, as it truly could be, might just begin. Right here. Most people aren't really alive. They're on autopilot, waking up, scrolling, working, eating, sleeping, and repeating. Nietzsche would call this herd existence, a kind of spiritual sleepwalking where people confuse movement with meaning. You might be checking boxes, chasing goals, hitting deadlines, but is any of that coming from you? From the core of who you are? Or is it just programming? That's the lie. You're not really living. You're just functioning, like a well-oiled machine in a world that rewards numbness. Now here's the thing, deep down, you know this. That unsettling feeling when you're alone, when things go quiet, when your phone dies and your mind starts racing, that's not anxiety. That's your real self trying to scream through the static. Nietzsche wasn't trying to depress you. He wanted to slap you awake. To say, look at the life you're tolerating. Is this it? And the terrifying part? You've probably gotten good at pretending it's enough. The masks you wear, the worker, the friend, the achiever, they keep you busy enough to never ask, is this even me? You see, modern life is engineered to keep you distracted from that question. We're encouraged to do, not to be. Our culture worships productivity, not depth. That's why Nietzsche saw most people as living in illusion. Not because they were stupid, but because facing the truth takes tremendous courage. Because once you see the machine for what it is, you can't unsee it. And then you're faced with the hardest question of all. What now? And that's where the story actually begins. Not when you succeed, not when you feel good, but the moment you start asking the uncomfortable questions. The moment you stop running. But to move forward from here, you'll need to understand one of Nietzsche's most misunderstood ideas. At first glance, become who you are sounds like a motivational quote you'd find on a coffee mug. But Nietzsche meant something far more radical, and far more painful. He wasn't telling you to follow your passion or embrace your quirks. He was challenging you to peel back everything that isn't truly you. The conditioning, the fear, the false identities, and to forge a life that's yours from the inside out. That process? It's not pretty. It's war. And you're both the soldier and the battlefield. See? Most people confuse identity with biography. You think you're someone because of what you've done, where you've been, or what others say about you. But Nietzsche flips the table on all of that. To him, becoming who you are means becoming what you must become. It's not about comfort. It's about necessity. Your real self isn't discovered through introspection alone. It emerges through action, through risk, through walking straight into your fears and asking, what if I'm more than this? And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Who you really are might scare you. It might mean saying goodbye to certain people. It might mean leaving a job, breaking a habit, or burning a bridge that feels safe but suffocates your soul. Because the deeper you go, the more you realize, authenticity requires sacrifice. Nietzsche knew that. He didn't want followers. He wanted individuals strong enough to carry their own values, to say no to the world's scripts and yes to their inner command. But this path isn't glamorous. It's not instantly rewarding. It often begins with destruction, of illusions, of identities, of fake ambitions. And that's where most people quit. But if you can endure that fire, What emerges on the other side is someone you actually respect, someone who doesn't need validation. But before you can take that leap, you need to face what's keeping you stuck. And that, my friend, has a name. We've been sold a lie, that the goal of life is comfort. A good job, stable income, soft couch, easy evenings, zero confrontation. Sounds nice, right? But Nietzsche would look at that and call it a slow spiritual death. Comfort, he warned, doesn't just weaken the body, it rots the will. When you make comfort your compass, you stop growing. You become tame. You silence the very voice that's supposed to guide you toward greatness. The truth is, comfort sedates you. It gives you just enough pleasure to keep you from asking deeper questions. Your ambition? Pacified. Your instincts? Numbed. Your sense of urgency? Gone. You tell yourself you're managing stress or enjoying the moment, but deep down, a part of you is shrinking. Nietzsche didn't respect the life of ease. He respected the one who chooses the hard road, who embraces discomfort as fuel, not something to run from. And here's the dangerous part. Our world is built to reward comfort seeking. There's an app for everything. We get dopamine on demand. You can work from bed, date from your phone, and scroll your way out of any existential crisis. But that ease has a hidden cost. Your edge, your sharpness dulls, your hunger fades. Nietzsche knew that real strength comes from resisting the soft life, not out of masochism, but out of reverence for what discomfort builds inside you. So the next time you feel bored, anxious, or too tired to care, ask yourself, is this who I really am? Or is this who I've become because it was easy? Your soul wasn't designed to be comfortable. It was designed to expand, to break, to evolve. But to wake it up, you'll need to stop chasing safety and start chasing something else entirely. Most people think pain is a sign of failure, of something gone wrong. But Nietzsche saw it differently. To him, pain was often the first honest signal that you've reached the edge of your current self. The crisis, the breakdown, the betrayal, the rock-bottom moment, isn't just suffering. It's revelation. It strips away the noise and leaves you staring into the mirror without your masks. And in that silence, something stirs. The possibility of rebirth. Think about it. When have you grown the most? Was it during the good times? Or when everything fell apart and you had no choice but to rebuild? Nietzsche believed pain was a necessary passage. Not optional. Not avoidable. Necessary. Because only when you're cracked open does your real foundation get tested. Do you have values? Or just preferences? Are you willing to fight for your soul? Or fold the second things get hard? These are questions pain forces you to answer, without mercy. And here's the kicker. Our culture teaches us to avoid pain at all costs. Numb it, fix it, deny it, drown it. But in doing so, we miss the door it was trying to open. Nietzsche wanted you to feel your suffering, not to wallow in it, but to listen to what it's pointing toward. Because pain, when faced consciously, becomes a compass. It shows you where you've been lying to yourself. It reveals what truly matters. And it burns away the parts of you that weren't meant to survive. So if you're in pain right now, good. That means something real is happening. That means you're alive enough to feel it. Awake enough to be shaken by it. Don't rush to escape. Sit with it. Learn from it. Because this is the birthplace of your strength. And if you're brave enough to walk through it, you'll unlock something Nietzsche called the will to power, and that changes everything. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power has been misunderstood for generations. It's not about dominance over others, it's about mastery over yourself. It's the raw inner force that says, I will not live by default. I will shape this life with my own hands. When you activate this will, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop begging for permission and begin giving yourself orders. And that shift changes everything. You see, most people drift through life like passengers. They outsource their decisions to trends, to parents, to fear, to inertia. But Nietzsche believed you were meant to drive. That doesn't mean reckless ambition. It means conscious authorship. Owning your time. Owning your choices. Owning your identity. The will to power is the moment you stop asking the world, what should I do? And start declaring, this is who I've decided to be. But make no mistake, This kind of power doesn't feel like a high. It feels like discipline. Like waking up early when no one's watching. Like saying no to the easy path. Like doing the uncomfortable thing over and over until your life bends to your will. Nietzsche wasn't preaching ego. He was demanding effort. The will to power isn't a thought, it's a daily war against your lower instincts. And every time you win, your self-respect compounds. The question is, are you willing to take the wheel back? Because the moment you do, life stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something you build. But to build something meaningful, you'll have to cut ties with something toxic, something Nietzsche warned about with fierce clarity. One of Nietzsche's most liberating insights is this: you are not your past. You are not the mistakes you made, the roles you played, or the thoughts you keep recycling. But the problem is, most people live as if they're trapped in a movie that's already been written. Your past becomes your prison, and your thoughts, many of them outdated, fearful, or borrowed, become your prison guards. Nietzsche wanted to break those chains. Because you're not a static character. You're a becoming. Have you ever noticed how often your thoughts lie to you? You're not good enough. It's too late. You always mess this up. Sound familiar? Those thoughts aren't truth. They're echoes. Echoes of trauma, failure, bad programming. Nietzsche taught that you have to observe these thoughts without obeying them. Let them pass like clouds. Not because they don't matter, but because you matter more. You are not the voice in your head. You're the one listening. And as for your past, yes, it shaped you. But it doesn't have to define you. Nietzsche saw the past not as a weight, but as raw material. You don't erase it. You transcend it. You make meaning out of it. You alchemize it. The pain becomes power. The shame becomes a story worth telling. But only if you refuse to stay stuck in the loop of regret. Only if you realize the future is always being written now, not yesterday. So, ask yourself, who would you be without that old story? Without that old identity? Nietzsche believed the highest form of strength is to say, I choose who I am. Not once. Every day. But to truly make that choice, you'll have to shut down the noise, and silence a force more dangerous than failure itself. If Nietzsche were alive today, he'd probably say smartphones are the new opium of the masses. Distraction isn't just entertainment, it's anesthesia. It keeps you from feeling, from thinking, from becoming. Every scroll, every notification, every mindless hour lost in the digital void weakens your grip on reality. Not because technology is evil, but because it replaces depth with dopamine. And Nietzsche's philosophy demands depth, a confrontation with yourself that most people will do anything to avoid. Here's the real cost of distraction. It robs you of urgency. You stop asking the hard questions. You lose the silence that could have led to insight. The moments that could have sparked transformation get drowned out by memes, news feeds, and noise. Nietzsche didn't just challenge people to think, he challenged them to think for themselves. But in a world that never shuts up, solitude becomes rare. And self-awareness? Nearly extinct. And it's not just about digital clutter. Distraction shows up in gossip, toxic relationships, compulsive busyness. It's any activity that keeps you safely numbed from your inner calling. Nietzsche wanted you to face yourself, to feel the discomfort of your unfulfilled potential. But you can't hear that calling if your mind is full of static. To hear it, you'll have to clear space. You'll have to be ruthless with what you allow into your mental environment. That might mean taking breaks from things that feel harmless. It might mean saying no more often. It might mean sitting alone in a quiet room long enough to let truth surface. But once the noise fades, something strange begins to happen. You start to sense who you were meant to be. And often, that version of you is hiding in the exact places you've been avoiding. We all have those places we don't want to look. The conversations we dodge, the emotions we bury, the dreams we keep shelving for later. But Nietzsche believed that the very parts of your life you're avoiding are the gateways to your truth. That fear you keep justifying? That's often the signal. That resistance? That's the map. The real you isn't hiding behind comfort. It's buried beneath avoidance. And until you face those dark corners, you'll keep living as a shadow of your potential. Here's the uncomfortable part. The things you avoid usually contain the exact pain you need to transform. That unfinished project, that difficult phone call, that buried childhood wound, they're not just obstacles, they're invitations. Nietzsche saw life as a forge, not a spa. If something scares you or brings shame, it's probably worth exploring. Not to torture yourself, but to retrieve the parts of your soul that got locked away in that very moment. Most people try to build a strong identity while running from their weakest spots, but Nietzsche would call that delusion. He'd ask, why are you building a house on sand? You can't skip the dark parts, you must integrate them. That's where your energy is trapped. That's where your voice gets its edge. When you confront what you've been avoiding, something paradoxical happens. You start to feel more whole. Because nothing haunts you like what's left unexamined. So maybe it's time to stop running. Maybe it's time to turn around, face the monster, and realize it's been holding a key all along. But to use that key, to truly unlock who you're meant to become, you'll have to embrace one last truth. The road ahead will hurt, and it's supposed to. No one can walk this road for you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your friends or mentors. Nietzsche was clear. The path of becoming is lonely, brutal, and beautiful. It's not a hike with a guide, it's a climb into yourself with nothing but your own will to pull you forward. And yes, it hurts. But that pain? That's how you know it's working. Because every step you take, every truth you face, is a piece of the false self falling away. And it's tempting, so tempting, to look for shortcuts. Some system, guru, or philosophy that'll do the work for you. But Nietzsche would call that cowardice disguised as curiosity. The real work begins the moment you stop outsourcing your power. That means making peace with the silence, the uncertainty, the cold nights where nothing makes sense. It's in that space that you're forged. Not made. Forged. Like steel under fire. But here's what most people miss. The pain doesn't last forever. What lasts is the strength it builds. The clarity. The sovereignty. When you walk your path, truly walk it, you begin to notice something remarkable. You stop needing applause. You stop needing to fit in. Because you're no longer living someone else's story. You're writing your own. And in that authorship, you gain something no one can give you. Freedom. Still, freedom comes with a price. It means taking full responsibility. It means not blaming your past or your circumstances. And it means facing the most terrifying truth of all, that this moment, right now, could be the beginning of the life you were meant to live. But only if you're ready to see with new eyes. There's no dramatic trumpet sound. No applause. No neon sign that says, "Congratulations, you've awakened." Real life doesn't begin with fireworks. It begins in silence, in awareness, in a decision. Right now, as you hear these words, this could be the line in the sand. The moment you stop pretending, stop deferring, stop living the version of you others built, and start living from within. That, Nietzsche believed, is the true birth of a person. But don't expect the world to celebrate it. In fact, the world will resist it, because your awakening threatens the sleep of others. When you step into truth, you stop fitting into the mold. You'll be misunderstood, maybe even mocked. Nietzsche was. Great minds usually are. But here's the secret. Once you taste the real thing, raw clarity, conscious freedom, you can't go back to pretending. The mask starts to itch. The lies lose flavor. And comfort feels more like a coffin than a gift. And this is where most people freeze. They get the insight, they feel the fire, and then they hesitate. They wait for the right time. But Nietzsche would tell you, the right time doesn't exist. The only time you have is now. Now is where change begins. Now is where your power lives. Now is where your real life starts, if you're willing to burn the script and write something true. So don't look away. Don't shrink back. Don't tell yourself you're not ready. You're not supposed to be ready. You're supposed to be willing. And if you are, then welcome. This is where your life, your real, unfiltered, unapologetic life, actually begins. Now you've seen the truth. Not a sugar-coated version of it, but the kind Nietzsche would demand, sharp, uncomfortable, liberating. So the question isn't, did this video inspire you? The real question is, what will you do now that you can't unsee it? Will you go back to sleep, or will you finally live with your eyes wide open? Because here's the deal. This kind of awakening doesn't last unless you act on it. That means cutting the noise, questioning your comforts, and stepping, daily, into the fire of self-overcoming. It won't be easy, but it will be yours, and that's worth everything. So if this video hit something deep in you, don't just think about it. Do something. Leave a comment with the lie you're done living. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this channel is for those who refuse to stay asleep. The more of us awake, the louder this truth echoes. And remember, this isn't the end of a video. This is the beginning of your life. The real one.